We're live, everyone. Welcome to day 19. Day 19. For the first time in ever, I actually had people going. A couple of people went past on the bike, and then they were like saying, "How many days still to go?" They were like asking me how far I was in. So I think that was really weird to get that. So I was like, "That's kind of cool." Do they know, or why all of a sudden today people are going for the first time? How many days have you done? I just that was a bit of an interesting one. Good day. It was a good day. What can I say? What can, is anyone getting the feeling it's like good day, bad day, good day, bad day, good day, bad day? I don't. My shoes. So I'm using two of the C1s from Mount to Coast with my shoes, and one's called Thing One, Thing Two because they're like I've got two of the same shoes. So I was like a bit like a cat in the hat with Thing One, Thing Two. Every time I wear Thing One, having a good day. Every time I wear Thing Two, it's a bad day. Is it like that? It feels like that. So I'm sure it's not, but it's a bit of a bizarre one. Let's see what will happen tomorrow. Tomorrow, when I reach the halfway mark, wow. Then I can actually say I've done like 1,000 kilometers in 20 days. I think that would be amazing. But yeah, it was a good day today. Super thrilled with how it happened, and it all started off. The reason why it was a good day is because I had a night without coughing. So I'm an old man, so I wake up loads of times during the night anyway, but I didn't wake up and start coughing. I literally just woke up and went back to sleep. It was made such a huge difference. So I did wake up, and I did wake up with the alarm, so I didn't wake up before the alarm, or I woke up too early, so I went back to sleep. The alarm went off, and then it was hit me in the middle of a REM cycle or something like that. So I felt a bit groggy waking up. You know, I'm not sure if you've got like a Garmin watch, but on the Garmin watch, on the alarms, you can actually have it sort of work out the best time to wake you up based on your sleep patterns. So it will always wake you up at the latest, even if you're in the middle of a REM sleep at that time. But it will look at, I think, within a half an hour before or something, when it feels like you're not in deep sleep, and it will just use that to wake you up so you don't feel so unrested when you wake up. But for me, I've never really used that. Perhaps I should. I'll give it a go. I'm always a bit dubious. Then it's going to wake me up a half an hour earlier. I kind of want to sleep. Make myself cough. That's actually been the problem. So I didn't cough during the night, but I've been coughing all the way through the day. So, but definitely feel loads better, and really excited to sort of tell today's story. I've actually got a very important story, and I do hope that Cliggy joins. So we'll be, or if he doesn't, then he better listen back to it because it's got him involved in it. Lovely story about me littering and a kebab. So yes, hands up, who's dropped trash. Hands up who's dropped trash deliberately. I've done that, but that doesn't mean that you can't change. And the thing that I always knew it was bad, and I've done it. I've done it. I suppose I don't know how many times I've done it, but I know in one story that you're about to hear, I definitely did it deliberately. So how did today go? Well, it was there's another thing that happened today, in as much as, so I started, and I was still feeling a little bit. Yeah, I look better than yesterday. That's true. Yeah, Kirsten, I just feel so much better. Um, just sort of night and day from yesterday. Crazy how the difference it can make. Um, I've lost my train of thought now. Oh yeah. So there was a couple of revelations that happened today. So I wasn't, although I was feeling more rested, my legs weren't feeling fast. So, they've got all these days of fatigue in them. They've all got and the nights of fatigue in them, especially. So my legs just are not turning over fast at all. So I was looking at my speed kicking off, and I was like going, oh, this is not good. I was a little bit worried, but then I went, then I kind of made a bit of a, a revelation. I made a sort of, it was like, okay, I've started late. So I started really late. I started around 9:30, which is, and all the panic I've had for the last few weeks and things, it's been like, oh, I've got to start earlier. I've got to start earlier because I've got to try and make up that time. I kind of started late, and that sort of forced me into a bit of a position. And then that became a bit of a revelation. It was okay. I've got 9:30. Gives me 10 hours to get this done. So I've got 10 hours to get 50 kilometers done. That's an average of 5 kilometers an hour. I can do that. I can average that if I get my head in the right place and I just do it. And so that's what I did was like, okay, I'm running a little bit faster. I'm banking that. And what I was doing is I was trying to sort of get it to a point where I'd sort of bank some free time by the time I did a rest. So when I did a rest for like 10 minutes or so, then all I was doing was just dropping that average down to that five. And that's kind of how it went all the way through. So I did it in around 10 hours or something like that. I slowed right down at the end because I was like, okay, I've got a bit of time. So I was a little bit later, a bit more than 10 hours, but that was just my choice because of filming. So yeah, that was the plan. It became a bit of a revelation. I don't have to run crazy fast. I just have to make sure that I do this in 10 hours. If I do this in 10 hours, I've got a reference point, and that means, hey, look, I'm slowing down. Am I picking up too much trash? Hey, I'm slowing down. Am I just running slow? What is the reason? And I can adapt to it. I should be able to get it every day in 10 hours. If it means that, okay, I've got to focus more on running and less on trash, so be it. And that's kind of what happened. I kind of got some big bits of trash, got my sort of figures up. Suddenly I've got, I'm in the 50s, so I don't need to get any more trash. I can just sort of Sure, sorry. Sort of, I will always be yawning in these things. So, yeah, I can just sort of focus on the running, and that's exactly what happened. I took a familiar route that I've done before, and that sort of yeah, it was a perfect strategy. So I took a familiar route that I've done before, and there was one area where there's fly tipping that I knew. So this is near Halfweg. So I went there and I noticed, hang on, all the trash that because there was loads of trash there before when I went there, and I thought, okay, I've got to come back here. I came back, and all that trash had been removed. So the council have removed it, and in its place was fresh trash, sort of just thrown in the bushes. So I just picked up some of the big pieces, and what I thought was, okay, I'm going to count these because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them out of the bushes and shove them down to people's faces and say, look, this is just been dumped. So what I did was I sort of removed it from the hidden bushes area, moved it right in front. It was like there's like a car parky bit and a bike path and a road going along it. I just shoved it right bang in the middle. And so what did I collect? So this is what I collected just from that dumped area, that sort of dumped area. Two chairs, a table, a vacuum cleaner, and a cool box. So that Haarlem 105 has joined. Ik kan ik wel in Nederlands doen, maar je moet wel mij uitnodigen om te kletsen met jou. Dus we kan. Sorry, so just 1 second. We've got Radio 105 has just joined. I'm really interested in this one, so I'm just going to switch to Dutch briefly. Als je wil, dan kan wel langskomen, soort of tijdens mijn loopjes dit week. Dus laat me weten, stuur mij een DM en dan ik kan wel op de radio. Because ik zit nu op dag 19 van 40, van 50 kilometer per dag, of 2026 kilometer in totaal. En ik zit boven, ik denk ik ben nu 1500 kilo's verzameld. Dus that's it. Right, back to English. It's the local radio station. Okay, Steve, stop laughing. Stop laughing. I can see that you're laughing. I got really excited about that. Oh, and Chrissy's joined as well. Chrissy, I have to sort of remind you have to do the flamingo. So you can see there, I just got two chairs, and it was just like ridiculous. So I just plonked it just to show how plonked in in the middle of the road. So what you can see is, that line of trees in sort of on one side. That's where all the fly tipping happens, where they just dump all the stuff, and they do it. So what I did was I just took it out of the bushes and I moved it right next to the bike path, just to make a real statement of it. For me, that was like, okay, let's just make it a statement. And so you can see the bike path there, and you can also see the road that goes past it. It is just so ridiculous what is getting dumped there, and that was all new trash since I last looked there, when I went there sort of last week or something along those lines. So crazy. So so I'd sort of done that bit. Then I just did a little loopy back, and I'm just running through some trees, and then Rob springs out. So Rob has been, the whole family of Rob, Rochelle, and Daphne, and all the rest of them. They've been really supportive of just sort of joining me at the lowest points and everything. Suddenly, Rob springs out of nowhere, and it really was almost like he was hiding in a bush, which is just so fantastic. So he was in Halfech. So I pushed the buggy. I gave him a bag, and he had a grabber. So he was picking up little bits of trash, and I just said, right, I'm going to get some kilometers done, and we just sort of plodded on through. We sort of got a little bit further, and got to I said, I'm going to show you a couple of the secret places, not the secret places, but the places I know where there is dump trash, and for various reasons. So a bit like that fly dump dipping area. So we got to another one. I said, all right, we're only going to pick up one type of trash, and I took him around the side, and I said, okay, we're only going to pick up the it's like a sort of like Calagas type canisters, sort of like they were like spray cans, the size of us. They were sort of like it was like spray can size, like that, big things that have actually with butane gas in it. So I don't know why they're using it, but we left everything else there. There were hubcaps and everything. We just picked up 21 of those canisters, and I put them in a see-through bag, and then just we put it we put it in the bin because it's in a see-through bag. They could see exactly what it was. So just 21 butane gas canisters. Just, what is the story behind that? It is just, it was bizarre. So I was really glad he was there, because I wouldn't have done it otherwise. So we did that, carried on, we did some more stuff, and then ended up at Run X. And I'm skipping the person I spoke to, because I want that to be the story at the end, about the kebab. So that's coming up. We got to Run X, and then suddenly Paolo just springs up. Oh, fantastic! We've got another person here. So I've got like two people, and then Kenneth from from Park Run Almira, but I think he lives in Hilversum. So suddenly Kenneth, who's been he joins a lot of the live streams. He's this one of the race directors at Almira Park Run, which really should be way bigger than it is, because it's such a lovely park run. So definitely go to Almira. And if you live in Almira, why are you not doing park runs on Saturday? That's all I'm going to say. So he just rocked up, and suddenly I've got a group of three people with me, and we turned it into like a mini Plog X, where my monthly cleanup. So suddenly we're running around town, playing disco music, cleaning up. A lovely woman just came up to us and gave us some ice lollies. Awesome. I mean, that was fantastic. Met quite a few people, and it was just a brilliant way. Then we sort of headed back to the Grotemarkt, and at the Grotemarkt, Paolo and Rob left us, and then I just went with Kenneth all the way back home, and then he went on to Heemstede Station. So he was making use of there was like a real good deal with the train tickets over the summer, so he was making use of that. So this is Kenneth. So it was so nice to sort of see him on the run. It was just brilliant. Loved it. That really made my day. So, and then I've got the day done. I've even done the little reels for later on, even filmed that in the time that I had. So I've had an absolutely brilliant day. It's not been a fast day. It's been a steady diesel engine, boom, 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 just carry on day. And I think I'm not sure exactly how much trash, but I think it's around 80 kilos. So that was awesome. But yeah, Jeffrey, it was awesome. It was so cool. Chrissy just said that in Instagram. She also got a lovely surprise. I just, but yeah, suddenly I sort of gave her a flamingo. So she's got a flamingo in her garden now. Right. I'm going to take one more bit of water, and then I'm going to tell you the story about the kebab because it really is such a brilliant story. I can still feel it tickling, so apologies if I'm going to cough. So Rob and I are at Halfleg. We're actually just by the casino there at Sugar City, and this guy, this sort of young guy, I think probably late teens, sort of around probably about 18, I'm guessing. I don't know, 17, 18. Just said, "Hey, I know you. You went to the last year. You went to our school, sort of a secondary school. They were sort of quite sort of old kids there. Maybe he's not 18. Maybe he's like 17, something like that." And he said, I remember you. I remember you. It is so, and he said it was so fantastic, your story. He really loved it. And what I try and do in secondary schools is I sort of change it to where in the school for primary schools. I hope I'm not going to cough all the way through. So in the primary schools, it's all about having fun with the banana, picking up trash and things like that. But with secondary schools, I do something different. I sort of talk about more about the fact of not limiting yourself. So my story in secondary schools is about, I can do it. It's crazy. I can do this. All that I've done. I was talking about the 31 marathons. So I said, just do not be a limiter in your life. People are going to be putting you down. Do not be one of those people that put you down. Give yourself that chance to succeed. Give yourself that chance to try. So that's kind of the sort of the story that I try and sort of tell them. Say, look, I'm a 59-year-old guy, and this is what I'm doing. I think that's kind of crazy what I'm able to do. Would I? Yeah, and it's only because I'm not limiting myself, and I'm sort of keen to challenge myself to give it a go. So that's sort of the focus. And then they ask some really good questions, like, they were like, how do you earn money? That you get that a lot in the secondary schools. But then they were like saying, what happens if you get injured? If you get injured, and I said, yeah, I'm like a footballer. I'm like an athlete and things like that. If I get injured, I'm kind of screwed. What makes it worse for me is there is no insurance for me. I don't have that pot of money that the sort of a lot of the well-paid footballers. But yeah, there's a lot of people like me and the not so, not top level athletes that literally are scared about getting an injury because it could mean that they don't get any income. So it is a really big deal. So they ask these really nice questions. So he's like telling me it was so wonderful what you did, really loved it, love what you're doing, told him the story, and then he said, and I still remember the kebab story. That's really stuck with me. And that just like I didn't even remember that I told him the kebab story. So I hope Cleggy is on the phone because this involves or on the live stream because I need him to do check and balances on my story. So if I say anything wrong, Cleggy, you have to tell me if I'm saying something wrong. It's 1998. I think it's around sort of or it's around end of 97, beginning of 98, something along those lines. And I went to visit him in Liverpool. He's a dear friend from Liverpool. We've known each other since uni days, and a lot of the time when I talk about music, he chats back to me, and we sort of have a similar taste in music. So like the Beth Orton, the Genesis, and Marillion, we have sort of all this sort of love of the sort of similar music. So I was visiting him. I'm not going to get into too much detail. Let's just say I was drunk. I was very drunk and I was eating a kebab. This was pre-vegan. So I'm in his car. He's driving us back to his place, and I am very drunk eating a kebab. He's tolerating me because he's not had anything to drink or anything. I think I was a crazy drunk then. I was like this, and then I just thought I've had enough. So and Steve, this was the wild days at UBS. So this is when I went off to Liverpool. So I've also got sort of my old boss that's actually on the line. So I was just munching on the kebab, and then I just had enough, and I was like sick and everything like that. I was like feeling sick. I didn't get sick, but I just wound down the window and I threw it out onto the street. It's not just me accidentally dropping trash. I threw a half-eaten kebab out of a window of a car. Hands up if you've dropped litter. Hands up if you drop litter deliberately. I've done that. It doesn't matter if I was drunk or not. And what Dave did, what Cleggy did then, is one of the reasons why I do what I do. It was one of those factors that made me go, hang on, am I heading in the right direction? He had a go at me. He completely flipped out, and it was like, "Why are you throwing out the window, dropping the litter, and everything like that?" So he completely had a go at me, and then I think I just broke down and started crying and everything like that, and because I felt really guilty about it. I don't know why I did it. I just did it. Felt really guilty, and then I think I convinced him, or I don't know if it was like me convincing him to turn around to pick it up, or he said, "You're bloody well picking that up." I will let him tell that answer if he's in the chat. If I see it pop up, then I'll tell you. Or if it's not, it'll be in tomorrow's comments where if he's listening. So we went back, I picked it up, and we put it in a bin. That was And then what I did in the secondary school, I said, look, it doesn't matter if you drop trash, if you've been dropping trash. What happens is what you do tomorrow. After this conversation I've had about showing you what I do in the bananas, telling you what I do in the bananas about picking up trash, that's when it counts. You can just change today. You can become a litter bug. Bang, you can end that today. You can change your whole life, and that's true with so many things. You can say, no, I'm not doing this anymore, and you can change it. And that kebab was a trigger for me sort of actually questioning myself, sort of maybe it took another sort of 20 years before it really got solidified into my way of life, but it was one of the founding moments in my life that turned me around and made me realize I need to change things because I am heading in the wrong direction. And that's what I said to the kids. And that kid that I saw today, that young adult, he said, I remember that, but that kebab story, it was really important to me. I think for me, that has made my whole 40 days. That one conversation with him, with that kid. So to the people that go, what's the point of picking up trash? To the people that go, there's no point in picking up trash. There's no point in doing this. It's going to be trash there tomorrow. Doesn't matter. You've only got to change one person. Did I change him? I don't know, but I definitely stuck in his memory. And he was with a friend, and it was, and his friend was like, that's probably going to stick in his friend's memory as well now, because where he's having a conversation with a banana, and his friends is like talking about when I visited the school. You have the capability. It doesn't matter whether it has happened yet or not. It can happen tomorrow that you inspire someone, just like Cleggy made connected with me so fundamentally on that in that car when I was drunk and threw that kebab out the window. You can just change someone. Never think that you can't inspire someone into good, into being more caring for the planet or for others. I think that is it's just so that really was just the best moment so far of all of these days. Love that. Brilliant. So, so that's my day. My plans for there's the Arwen's just asking what plans for Friday. I think I'm going to be doing. I've got someone joining me for the whole day. Sort of a friend from Harlem. So really awesome woman. So she's going to be joining me. If you want to join me, I'm going to be doing sort of loops around Sunfort, back into town, a little bit around town. So there should be quite a little bit of fun going on for Friday. So I'm going to try and make as much of the Friday afternoon in town. I think just to sort of try and get that crowd, but we'll definitely be making a loop around Sunfort in the morning. Let's see if there's any other sort of questions. Yeah, it was just so fantastic. So really excited to share that story. It's just brilliant. It just takes one it's just bizarre. It just takes one meeting or one thing that happens, and then it can come around, and a year later, that kid still remembers that story. It's just bizarre. Bizarre. Another guy came up, and when we got the ice lollies from a lovely woman, a guy came up and he said, "My friend, I have to take a selfie because my friend was talking. I didn't know about you, but my friend was talking about this guy in a banana suit that runs around town picking up trash, and here I am bumping into you the next day." So we had a selfie there. It's these connections are what makes it important. The amount of trash you pick up does that is the least important. It's the conversations. It's people seeing you. That is what matters in what we do. That is really it. I think I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna right. Joke time. Some people have been complaining. I will get this joke out. Right. So tiger, what is it? A pig, and a stuffed toy. The reason why, just the reason why, because those are the mascots. So I'll talk more about the mascots tomorrow. Tiger, pig, cuddly toy. Go to a snack bar. Tiger says, "I'm really starved. I am so starving. I could like eat just like a whole sort of rack of pork ribs and well, or maybe a gazelle. Let's say a gazelle. Let's be nice to the pig. So I'm so starved I could eat that. I'm going to treat everyone. Hey, pig, what do you want? The pig said, "Oh man, I could just have just give me a whole bunch of vegetables. I will just gnaw all the way through those." And then they